Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of the Book Club. So this is session 6, and we have 2 more to go, and we will have a special session with Chef AJ. I asked her if she could be on today, but she is in Mexico, so she didn't trust her internet connection. That's why we decided to do it later on. I am enjoying my hot cup of chamomile tea in my favorite cup because this is my favorite color, yellow. I can't wear yellow because my skin tone just doesn't go with yellow, but I wish it did because I love yellow. I think it's such a happy color. So while we wait, I want to show you something really eye-opening. Since we were talking about vegetables for breakfast last Sunday, I decided to do a very short video to show you something that hopefully will make you realize how easy it is to have 2 pounds of vegetables for breakfast. So here we go. Okay, guys, for those of you who may think that 2 pounds of veggies is a lot, this 2 zucchinis in this eggplant, it's not big, it's 2 pounds. When I cook these, when I roast them, there will be a lot less. That's 2 pounds. This is another example of 2 pounds. Half of a large red pepper, a very small onion, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mushrooms, and a little tray of Brussels sprouts. That's 2 pounds. So all of this is 4 pounds, and you'll see what this looks like once they're cooked. You can eat this easily. This for breakfast, this for lunch, or vice versa. Well, here they are, all cut up and ready to go in the oven. The veggies are cooked. I'm going to mix them up, turn them over. They smell wonderful. My mouth is watering. And actually, I think I can combine now both pans into one. So you see how, even though it looks like a lot, it does reduce. So this is 4 pounds. That's not much. I'm going to combine those into these. Maybe I'll put them in the oven for just a few more minutes, but that basically they're done. Then we're gonna drizzle some balsamic vinegar or just eat them like this. So here we go. Both pans combined into one. And this is barely for one day. I don't think it's, I may even need more, I don't know. But I just wanted to show you how 4 pounds of veggies, when cooked, it really is not much. Half of this I can eat for breakfast, the other half for lunch, put on rice or on a salad, or with, of course, with a baked potato, with mashed potatoes, with a sweet potato, with steamed broccoli, and it's gone. Then there's nothing else for dinner, so I would probably need more than that. I hope you enjoy seeing this demonstration, and stay committed with VFV, vegetables for breakfast. Well, here are the veggies for breakfast. It's 11 in the morning, so it's more like a brunch, but this is when I'm hungry. So they do have some balsamic vinegar on top. So it's about half of that pan that you saw, and it's not even a full bowl, almost full bowl, but it's not that much. So I hope you give it a try and enjoy. Well, one of you asked if those are all non-starchy vegetables, and yes, they are. So you can do what I did just to double check. You can go to Google and put non-starchy vegetables, and you'll get a list of things. Zucchini, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, kale, mushrooms, cabbage, cauliflower, onions, peppers, green beans, snow peas, carrots, all types of greens, eggplant, and those are that's not a complete list. So yes, you can have that whole pan. I did eat half of it for breakfast. In the salad, it really is wonderful to add that crunchiness that green apples or just regular apples give that extra, like I said, tanginess and crunchiness and juiciness, everything. And of course, things like blueberries as well. Very good. I hope this helped you to realize that eating 2 or 3 pounds of non-starchy vegetables a day is no big deal whatsoever, and that you will continue to do it. So today we're going to cover chapter 4. Remember that I am assuming that you read the chapter, so I'm not covering every single word and paragraph in there, but before we start, I want to announce that next Saturday, August 21st, I'm going to do a Cooking with Gustavo show. And I made something the other day that was just incredible. They are like muffins, but they're cabbage cups with a filling of potatoes and peas and onions and other things that I'll tell you later. And so you get your potatoes, you put them in a muffin pan, you put the cabbage there in each hole, you put the filling, then you fold it, and then you bake it. And it is amazing. I'm going to show you how to make these because they are a meal. The cabbage is your greens. They can be lunch, and they can be dinner with something else. They can be breakfast, and they're great to take with you if you to the office or on a trip or whatever. So when you receive the confirmation email, you will see a link that says if you would like to make a donation. I'm just taking donations this time, but it really is totally voluntary. So if you want to do that, great. If not, I hope that you will join me next Saturday. If you can't, go ahead and register. That way you will receive the replay. Very good. Let's go to chapter 4. which is the 7 C's to success. And even though the first 4 pages are wonderful, I'm just going to jump right into the C's, to the 7 C's, so that we can have enough time to cover this. The 7 C's to success. The first one, and without this one, none of the others are possible, is commitment. Of course, I mean, if you don't commit, then forget it. There's nothing else we can do. The promise to do something is the definition of commitment. The attitude of someone who works very hard to do something. What is your attitude when it comes to commitment in general, and specifically when attempting a permanent lifestyle change? Chef AJ says, if you're interested, you'll do what is convenient. If you're committed, you will do whatever it takes. If eating healthfully, losing weight, and keeping it off was easy, then more than 3/4 of Americans wouldn't be overweight or obese. That really caught my attention. If it was easy, nobody would be obese or overweight. Everybody would do it. But just because something isn't easy doesn't mean that you won't be able to do it. And I do remember my grandfather saying something like that. Yeah. And it is true. Just because it's difficult, it doesn't mean that it is impossible. You just have to want to do it. It's not late. It's never late. It's like she says here on page 75. It's only too late if you don't start now. On page 76 at the bottom, it says, if you want to increase your level of commitment, then write it down. Write down what you wish to accomplish. If you want to up your level of commitment even more, then make your commitment public. And I have done this, and I have to say that it works. And I know I have interviewed and been around in my 57 years of life people that have been and are very successful. And this is something that most of these people mention. Writing it down has a power that is incredible. It's not the same as just saying it. Then if you make that public, then it makes it even more, your level of commitment goes higher. On page 77, 77, that's right, she mentions the second C. After each C, I'm just going to stop and read the comments. Commitment, or recommitting, if you go off the plan, the very next bite that you take can be a commitment. Being accountable is important. This group and Chef AJ's, I agree. Okay, what is the second C? Is compliance. Like Chef AJ, I really like this word compliant or compliance. Well, why? Because Chef AJ says on page 77 at the top, people have no emotional attachment to the word compliance or to the words calorie density. Clients will call me up berating themselves because they were bad, they said, because they ate, I don't know, a brownie. I try to teach them that they're not bad if they eat something off plan, or they're not good if they eat steamed kale. Our sense of being good or being a good person or being a bad person does not depend on if I ate a cookie or if I ate 2 pounds of kale. I was either compliant with the program, with the plan that I committed to, or I wasn't compliant. The greater the degree of compliance, the easier the program becomes. Of course, compliance does not imply perfection. Let's think about that. Compliance doesn't mean that we will be perfect. I don't know about you and your beliefs, but I believe that none of us are perfect. And there is a difference between being compliant and being perfect. Your success, well, of course, maybe I am no, I'm just kidding. Okay, your success on this program will be determined by how quickly you get back on track in the event that you relapse. Very true. In the event that you relapse, how quickly, if you throw your arms and you say, oh, I just, made a mess today, I'm just going to, and it is noon. Well, then I'm going to have a snack that is bad, that is as non-compliant, and then I'm going to have dinner that is not. So, as quickly as possible, you get back to being committed and compliant. And the more compliant meals you can string together, just think about being this necklace of pearls, one after the other, and those are the meals. The more meals you can string together that are compliant for longer periods of time, the greater your chance of success. Many participants have concluded that 100% compliance is actually easier than 99% compliance. That 1%, let me tell you, it makes a huge difference. That little window, the little door there, like, well, maybe I can have that tiny piece of fill in the blanks. It's having that little voice here saying, well, just that tiny bit is not going to hurt. It could be the way to getting off the plan. In the middle of page 77, she tells us one more time what this program is about. She says, it's a life-changing, lifestyle intervention program in which individuals agree to adopt a low-fat, whole food, plant-exclusive diet free of all processed food, including all sugars, including zero-calorie sweeteners, all flours, oil, salt, and alcohol, and eat only the foods to the left of the red line for a period of at least 21 days, and consume at least 2 pounds of non-starchy vegetables daily, starting with at least 1 pound of non-starchy vegetable for breakfast. Now, you saw at the beginning that 2 pounds were 2 zucchinis and a small eggplant. So half of that is what you have to eat for breakfast. It's nothing, okay? I had 4 pounds because for me, 2 pounds is nothing. So, but if it is, when you go to the store, one of you mentioned here the limited funds. You go with your list of non-starchy vegetables and you look for what's on sale that week. And sometimes frozen vegetables are on sale and you get frozen. Frozen has sometimes they have more vitamins and minerals than the fresh vegetables, sometimes, which have been sitting on inside a truck for maybe 2 weeks. So do whatever it takes, but 1 pound of non-starchy vegetables is very little. And I love how she tells us what the program is about in just a few words. So at the bottom of page 77, should you indulge in any non-compliant food, immediately make sure that the very next bite of food that you put into your mouth is a non-starchy vegetable. Notice how she says non-starchy vegetable. And voila, you have once again become compliant. Then go back to the first C for commitment and recommit. When you truly commit, it's infinitely harder to quit. If taking it a day at a time seems too daunting, then take it a meal at a time, or even a bite at a time. The more compliant meals eaten in a row, the stronger your compliant muscle gets, until one day, this is just how you eat. You don't even have to think about it. On page 78, in the second paragraph, Chef AJ talks about how variety can be a problem. She says variety can be the kiss of death for the food addict because it encourages overeating and can threaten your compliance. I'm not saying that you have to eat the same exact thing every day, but the more you learn to simplify your meals, the more success you will have. Still, it's not like you have to eat like a monk. Have as much variety as you please with the confines of your new 4 food groups: fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. Vary the grain, vary the bean, vary the vegetable, and the sauce within every meal to keep it interesting and flavorful. The possible combinations are endless. Just think about vegetables for breakfast. One day I can have those 2 zucchinis and an eggplant. The next day it could be I don't know, it could be broccoli and peppers and snow peas. I don't know, so you do get a variety within the same group. On page 78, we get the third C, which is consistency. By this, I mean steadfast adherence. Just think about someone like, for example, Itzhak Perlman, the very famous violinist. I love that she chose that example, of course, being a musician, or I can think of the most amazing pianist, Martha Argerich. These people have played the violin or the piano from when they were 3 years old, and they were a virtuoso by age 10. But you can be certain that they also practiced consistently and that they still do. Think about all the great athletes you admire and some of the amazing feats they've accomplished. Do you think there has ever been an Olympic champion who only worked out every other Tuesday? And when you do something consistently, it becomes a habit. And that's what we're after. So consistency is another of the C's that will, guide you in success. One of you is asking if I have ever had zucchini flowers, and I haven't. So I'd love to try them. What a nice way to start the day, eating a flower. Wow. Okay, I'm going to look for that. So one of you says, I find that grocery shopping is so much easier since I eat most of the same thing all the time. Consistency helps me with that too. Okay. What is the fourth C? It's also on page 78. Yes, eat flour. Flour, Flower, not flour, Flour. Okay, the fourth C is cooking, and of course I love this C because I find cooking relaxing and I find it creative. To me, it really is like composing a sonata or a symphony or a concerto. I just enjoy it a lot, and that's why I do my cooking shows. So you don't, basically what Chef AJ says is you don't need to go to culinary school. You don't need to be a chef. You don't need to spend a lot of money on utensils. You don't need, it's just that you need to be willing to learn a few basics to be able to prepare your food. And of course, having an instant pot makes things a lot easier. I honestly don't know how I did it without it. But it just takes a little longer, that's all. But it is possible if you don't have an instant pot. All right. Most people don't eat 30 different breakfasts and 30 different lunches and 30 different dinners every month. They find their favorites and repeat them. You will need to do the same with the foods that you are eating. Cooking your food may never be as cheap and quick as going through the drive-through, but living with a foodborne illness like heart disease or diabetes is expensive and will slow you down. I know it is sometimes hard to look ahead into the future. The time you, but think about the time you spend cooking. The time, this says here, the time you spend cooking pales in comparison to the time it takes for frequent visits to the doctor's office. While you're cooking, you can also be doing other things like listen to your favorite music or to your favorite podcast. I use the time to listen to audiobooks or Dr. Lyle's podcast called Beat Your Genes. So, what is the fifth C? The fifth C is change, and that is at the bottom of page 79. If you truly want your life to change, then you have to be willing to change your lifestyle. First and foremost, you are being asked to change the foods that you eat, many of which you may have eaten your entire life, and you may have a physical addiction or emotional attachment to. To do this, you will have to change the way you shop, change the foods you keep in your home, and change the way that you cook. You may have to change the restaurants you go to, or even decide whether or not you will continue to eat out. And I would say two things. There is a webinar on my YouTube channel where Chef AJ and I go together to 10 different grocery stores and we shop. And that might help you, and it's fun. It's free. It's there in my website. Not in my website. It's in my YouTube channel. And yes, it's true. Eating out is a huge challenge. While we were going to those 10 supermarkets, Chef AJ and I stopped at a Wendy's, and it's one of the few fast food places where you can actually have a compliant meal because they sell baked potatoes. And I used to get 2 of them. And when I used salt and pepper, I used to sprinkle a little bit. And but even now, just with a little bit of lemon or lime, it tastes good, or salsa. And they also have salad. Now you do have to eat it dry because they don't have, well, maybe they had one with no oil. I'm not sure. You can also put a lemon, or if you carry your salad dressings in little bottles with you, you can use that. You also have to learn how to order at restaurants. Chef AJ says you may even have to change your friends, at least temporarily, if they don't support your healthy new lifestyle or try to sabotage you. And you may need to change whether you accept many social engagements or family events if you're not yet strong enough to withstand those environments. That's a lot of change. While I do believe that any change you make in the direction of optimum health is better than doing nothing, the more changes you are willing to make and the faster you're willing to make the changes, the sooner you will see results. Once you make the commitment to change, the universe will open up its arms to support you. So that's change. Number 6, the 6th C is community. And that's what we have here. That's why I started this book club. I wanted to have a group of people where we could, like we're doing now, you guys are chatting, and that's wonderful. Like, since I'm doing the reading here, I can't read all your comments, but I do read them later. But having a community at least once a week like this, you can also be part of my community in my Facebook page, which is Dr. Starch. You can be part of another community, which is my email list. I think all of you are part of that in my YouTube channel. And of course, in Chef AJ's as well. She has all the social media. So be part of a community to help you in difficult times. Believe it or not, for many of my clients, Chef AJ says, this is by far the most important of the C's. You will see how hard it is for you to change. It is going to be infinitely more difficult, if not impossible, to get your friends and family to change. Whether you are overweight or not, it's very likely that they are just as addicted to sugars and flours, fats, salt, and dairy, and other animal products as you were at one time, and perhaps still are. You will be about as successful in attempting to get others to adopt this lifestyle as King Sisyphus, I don't know how to pronounce that, was in pushing that boulder up a mountain. So, as enthusiastic as you are about discovering the solution, I would suggest that you don't even discuss it with them, at least while you're still losing weight. I understand your enthusiasm, but don't be surprised if they never hop on board. I have lost most of my family to preventable lifestyle-related diseases, including severe food addiction, and I have been shouting this from the rooftops for many years. For now, let's just concentrate on you and your recovery. You cannot force your loved ones to embrace your newfound healthy lifestyle. And I have to completely agree with Chef AJ. I have had the blessing to have two important people in my life follow my way of eating. But I have a huge family, probably close, I don't know, to 100 members. When you count aunts and uncles and cousins and whatever. None of them, and I have mentioned, and we have talked, and they have seen. So it can be disappointing. So, like Chef AJ says, focus on yourself now, and when they see big changes, if they ask, just know that they may never ask. If they ask, you can tell them a little bit. If someone asks, I tell them a little bit. I don't overwhelm them with a 30-minute lecture. I tell them a sentence or two, and I see if they're asking because they're interested or they're asking because they want to be polite or just curious. And if the response tells me that they're just curious or they maybe want to fight or they're polite, I just leave it, okay? So community. And then on page 82, the seventh C is compassion. Even if you're not yet a vegan or someone who has an animal companion, I would ask you to consider including all living creatures in your circle of compassion. So she says, while I have spent my entire life extending my circle of compassion to those with fur, feathers, and fins, I needed to learn to be compassionate with myself. Instead of beating myself up because of my weight, for you too, maybe it's time to direct some of your compassion inward. The road you are about to travel may not always be easy. I can almost assure it's not going to be always easy, but I promise you that it will be a worthwhile journey to take. It will be a lot easier if you are loving and compassionate towards yourself, especially if you stumble along the way. So we arrive at the end of chapter 4 on page 83. The third paragraph, I want to highlight it. It says, I had to be willing to change my schedule, stop wasting so much time on Facebook, and get to bed earlier so that I could get up in time for a class. I also had to change my belief that exercise was no fun. Although I had tried to do hot yoga before and detested it, there were many other forms of yoga that I had never even heard of. And two of them, yin and restorative, I ended up absolutely loving. She's talking here about how she had to deal with some of these issues when it came to exercising, which she never liked. And then she tried yoga and loved it, and then she committed and was consistent with it. She also, I know Chef AJ walks at least 2 times, if not 3 times a day. And it's just a matter of, I think, these 7 C's, of following these 7 C's and knowing that you're always a step away from recommitting. So that is chapter 4. And I hope that you have learned a lot from that chapter. I certainly have. I always learn something. It reminds me of something. And again, if you want to join me next Saturday, I will be emailing you all the list of ingredients in case you want to cook along. And if not, you can watch, relax and watch, and then make the food later on. And I may be playing a little bit of piano for you as well after we make the food. So I will see you next Saturday for the cooking show, the cooking class, and then I'll see you next Sunday. Thanks, everybody, and stay committed, stay compliant, and eat your veggies for breakfast. Bye.